Ladies and gentlemen, we decided to bring back I would say the number one guest of the pod since we started doing it. Obviously, a guy that sat down with me and Jake a number of times. Andrew Ochs is in the police academy now, doing big things, doing big stuff.
Mm,
Really, really proud of this guy. Oh,
no,
shit. My
no,
bad.
I'm just kidding. I'm just joking.
All right, all right. Oaks, how you doing, man? I know you're excited to be back on the pod.
Yeah, like I told you, man, I was very disappointed when I was not invited. Uh,
Yeah,
the one that you and Jake did a couple days ago, and then we talked about, you then went to my favorite pizza spot in the world, Kaiser's, and didn't invite me there either. So this was kind of a big deal because if this didn't happen, it was kind of like, all right, well, we thought we were close buddies, and now it's like, yeah, maybe not. I don't know. So this is a big deal to get on here, and it's always fun. So yeah, looking
well, I
forward to it.
got you. Well, Oaks, there's a lot going on, and obviously we're gonna catch up with it. We're gonna talk today some USA basketball. We're gonna talk a little bit about LeBron. I mean, dude's still 21-9-8 at 40, crazy.
It's
Which
insane, man.
quarterback should get a new deal? 12-team playoff be good or bad for the sport? But first, we're going to start off with the news that here in Wisconsin is a very big deal. Jordan Love's new contract. Oaks,
Okay.
what are your thoughts? 50 mil a year for a guy that's had one really good season. What do you think?
Yeah, I love it. Um, it's just par for the course. It's how shit works.
Mm-hmm.
I saw people, I don't know, upset about, he should have taken less or was he not worth all that money? Well, that's, realistically, it's just how it always works.
Yep.
People that sign new deals reset the market, and I think that's good for players. So he was always going to get more than the guy that got, whoever was before him got. And so Tua just happened to sign, like a day or two before.
Yeah.
Um, so he was obviously going to get at least as much as him, if not more. I'll take Jordan Love over Tua all day. So
Yeah,
if
100%.
here's how I look at it.
Okay.
If Daniel Jones is going to get a lot of money, Tua is going to get a lot of money. Trevor Lawrence got a ton. I'm taking Jordan Love over all three of those guys. Dak's getting paid a lot. I'll take Jordan Love over Dak. Um, I think Jordan Love had a great season. He started kind of hot, then he cooled off, really struggled, I would say, for a few weeks, and then finished with like one of the best runs we've ever seen, I think, from a quarterback, especially in his first year as a starter. So
Yeah.
it's right up there with like what Mahomes did, except he did it for the full season. So um, yeah, I think you had to make that move. I wasn't surprised. I'm glad it got done before family night this weekend because I'll be there. So that means that Jordan Love will be there, and so. Uh, I love it. I think it's always like I was telling my other buddy. It's great to be a Packer fan because we've just been so blessed. I mean, we were kind of booty cheeks before I was born, but ever since I was born in '98, like we've just been awesome. We've had our one or two down years, so great for the franchise. Great to be a Packer fan as usual. And again, like for people that are skeptical about it, I just would ask them like, what's your other option?
Yeah.
Like, are you gonna not sign him? Then he goes into free agency, and you just hope that you can put the deal in front of him, and he signs it. Then that didn't work that way with Devontae Adams. We'd still have him if we weren't playing hardball with him. So,
Yeah.
and imagine how good we'd be with him. So, I get the skepticism in terms of it's only been 1 year, but that's because we sat him for 3 years or whatever it was. That's the way that it ended up working out.
Yeah.
By the time he finally played, he was up for a new deal. And so, yeah, I love it, and exciting time to be a Packer fan, man. Looking forward to the season. And
I mean, Oaks, for a guy that was completed over 64% of his passes,
yeah,
threw over 30 touchdowns, only 11 interceptions, and
hmm
over 4,100 yards. I mean, in your first year starting, that's pretty good. I will say, I think they got him for the right price, right? Like 50 mil is uh
it's what Patty
in
Mahomes is making,
retro.
right? So,
Yeah, and I mean in retrospect, in 3 years when that deal is still 50, other quarterbacks are going to be 60, 65, whatever it is. because
It'll,
the NFL cap's going to just keep going up. So,
yep, sure will.
good deal for both sides. I think the biggest thing for Green Bay is you got to continue putting a roster around Jordan Love for him to be successful, especially over these next few years where they kind of back-ended the money as well. So these next 2 years, you really got to put the team around them and make sure that you got a good squad up there in Green Bay because it's a team that wants to compete every single year for championships. And let's face it, with the way Love looked last year, they should be able to do that for the next few years as well. So,
oh God, yeah, we're young and
yeah. So, Oaks, getting on quarterbacks. Obviously, we saw Tua and we saw J Love get paid. Who do you believe is going to get paid next? Or let me phrase it this way: who do you think should get paid next?
Well, let me ask you this: who's due?
Dak is due. Brock Purdy is coming up. I think those are the two big ones. Stafford is due for a contract next year. So could he get an extension?
Yeah.
Trevor Lawrence just signed his, I believe.
I'm trying to think. Is Herbert due, or he already get one, or?
Yep, Herbert got one. And then Daniel Jones, too. Daniel Jones is up.
Again? Didn't they just sign him? I thought they just signed him before the last year or whatever.
Yeah, I guess you're right. He's got 2 years left, but if he has a good year, that might come into play. I think it's a clear answer for who this is. I mean, you could also say Mahomes too, because
well, he's probably got like 6 years left, but yeah.
Well,
didn't they sign him to a 10-year deal or whatever?
Yeah, but he's in the middle of the pack for money. I feel like the Chiefs are going to want to get him a little bit higher up.
If he's smart, he'll stay where he's at.
Right, exactly.
So is the question who will or who should? Who do I think should?
Let's say who should. Let's say who should.
Yeah, who should? I mean, the only two real options seem to be Dak and Brock Purdy, realistically, because Daniel Jones, there's just no way. Unless he shows something that he has not shown. I mean, he's not even. Who should? Depending on where the number comes in, I'm just going to assume that whoever it is, like every time a quarterback signs, is going to be higher than the last guy.
Yeah.
That's usually how it happens.
Yep.
I mean, it seems obvious to me that it's Dak, right? Like, to me, if you're Dallas, it all just comes back to, like, what's your other option? And so, like, when you're the Cowboys and you're the star and you're America's team, so to speak, you can't be below, like, you can't be average. You have to at least be, well, they were for a long time, but if I'm them, you got all that talent. You can't waste those years with Lamb. You can't waste those years with Parsons and stuff. You got to stay relevant. Now, the question is, like, they went 13 games 3 years in a row or whatever it was, 12 games, and they don't get past the second round. Is it a successful season? Well, at least, you're in the hunt every year. So I think it should be Dak because I don't know, like, what the other options would be at quarterback for the Cowboys. I don't see Stafford leaving LA. I don't see Kirk Cousins, if Penix were to be really, really great in the preseason, would he be available? Maybe.
Yeah.
But again, you're not winning anything with Kirk Cousins. We've seen that. Yeah, it's gotta be Dak. I can see why people would think Brock Purdy, but Brock Purdy to me, I don't know. I just have way more faith in Kyle Shanahan's ability if they were to go a different route to be able to mold whatever new QB went there into something that would be good enough to get them into a conference championship game, as opposed to I just have no faith in Dallas to do the same thing. So I think they need Dak. Dak keeps them relevant. Dak is I'd say above average quarterback. I'd put him right above Kirk Cousins. They get compared a lot. I think that's a fair comparison.
Yep.
Um, yeah, I think it's Dak for sure.
I think it's Brock Purdy. And call me crazy, but it's just like when I watch him, I think he gets better as the he progresses. Now, obviously he's got a litany of supporting cast, right? He's got
Wasn't
arguably the
very
best
good
left
against
tackle in
us.
football. He's
Yeah.
got two great receivers, George Kittle, CMC,
Hall
Elijah
of Fame left
Mitchell.
tackle. Yeah.
Yeah, a great defense and
Top 3 defense every year. Top 3 offensive coach. Yeah.
yeah,
A
like
GM who's willing to spend money and make trades at the deadline. What
and
doesn't
this
he have?
and this is why I say I would do Purdy now because they could wait till next year to do him. I would do him right now. Get
Mm.
get him at a deal where in a year or two you're really comfortable with that quarterback number, similar to what Green Bay did. You're really comfortable with that number. Also, I mean, San Fran, they're in win now mode. It's kind of this year or next year probably bust for them because they're not going to be able to keep everybody together. Also, Trent Williams is getting old. I think he's 35, 36 now. So he's coming to the end of that runway. I do think that Dak will get paid first, but I
Mm-hmm.
think it should be Brock. Um, Again, I think these are two guys that are middle of the road quarterbacks that, with the right supporting cast, can be successful. Like
Mm-hmm.
honestly, the real difference for me between Dallas and San Fran has been the coaching and the organization. Say what you want. I mean, Dallas has talent. I mean, they got Parsons, Diggs, Deron Bland, C.D. Lamb. Like they they got talent. I mean, Ferguson isn't bad either. They're tight end, so
Mm-hmm.
it's like you kind of see all this talent, but
Mm-hmm.
how do you utilize it? Right? Kyle Shanahan utilizes it greatly. Mike McCarthy
Well, they're
has,
stuck with Big Mike,
yeah. Let me
the
ask you.
coach.
Let me throw a little curveball at you. Do you think McCarthy they win 10 to 12 games and lose in the first round? You think he gets fired, or you think he
10 to
stays?
12 and lose in the first round?
Yep.
No, because historically Jerry Jones doesn't move off of coaches like that
Right.
fast. He's
Exactly.
only been there for like, when did he get there? Like 2019, 2020 or something?
2020. Yeah.
Yeah, he's not even been there for a handful of years yet. No, that's just not the way that Jerry Jones operates. He seems to get very attached to the coaches that he brings in, and
Well,
I
another
think
thing,
yeah.
another thing with Jerry that's the real problem in Dallas
Mm-hmm.
is he likes the control. So he brings coaches in that's going to let him run everything. So
Yeah,
that's part of the problem.
that's definitely part of
Um,
the issue. Yeah, no, I don't think he's gone. I see what you're saying. I think it's actually ironic. Like, I think both organizations are actually in a very similar spot.
yeah,
Um, where it's like the NFC's kind of wide open, I think, this year, and
yeah,
it has been actually for a couple years. The difference is, like you said, definitely San Fran has run much better, much more tight knit, and I just, like you said, I trust them a lot more. I see what you're saying though, in terms of like Brock Purdy. If you lock him up first, I guess like I agree with you from the standpoint of like I think Dallas needs Dak more. So if they had to
yeah,
pay him second, which would be more than Brock, it would make more sense because I think they're like I was saying, I think they're more reliant on Dak than San Fran would be on Purdy because I think San Fran could do fine with somebody else potentially. So
yeah.
yeah. I
I
don't
mean,
really disagree with you, but
looking at Dallas's schedule, Oaks, they got
mm-hmm,
these are all their tough games that they have that I believe are tough. At
mm-hmm,
Cleveland, Baltimore at home, at
mm-hmm.
Pittsburgh, Detroit Lions at home, at San Francisco, the Eagles twice, Texans, the Bengals at home, and Tampa Bay.
That's Dallas' schedule?
Those are just their tough games. So
That's
that's
crazy, yeah.
of the 18 weeks, that's basically half of their schedule is relatively tough games. So it'll be interesting to see, especially early too. Before that week 6 bye. I mean,
Yep.
the first 6 games at Cleveland, Baltimore, at Pittsburgh, and Detroit. 4 of those 6 games are tough. Obviously, you have the Saints at home in there, and then at the Giants. But I think at the end of the day, that is four really tough games early.
Yep.
But let's switch gears here. Let's talk some college football.
Okay.
Will a 12-team playoff, the new format that they introduced, be good or bad for the sport? What say you, Andrew Ochs?
I think it's amazing for the sport, dude. Like, actually, I don't see how anybody can argue it won't be good for the sport.
Yeah,
I mean,
right.
more opportunities is more opportunities is more opportunity to watch your team potentially make it. I mean, we know that what the big programs are, right? Ohio State, Georgia, Alabama historically. Clemson has been there a lot.
Michigan.
I think Texas and Michigan, yeah, Michigan
Yep.
for sure. Texas is now going to slide into that spot
Yep.
in place of Alabama, I believe, out of the SEC. And so, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's the 5 conference champions and then 7 at-large bids, if you will, which is basically like 7, I don't know, next best teams that the committee decides. Is that how it works?
Yep. So there are 4 Power 4 champions. There's the
Mm-hmm.
ACC, the Big 12, the Big 10, and the SEC champion. There
Mm-hmm.
is the highest ranked group of 5 team. So that's a Liberty, a Tulane, Appalachian State, team like that. UCF.
A Colorado or something?
No, Colorado's in the Big 12 now.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
Yep. So
Okay.
uh, basically a mid-major program.
Mm-hmm.
I would describe that. And then the 7 best teams after those are locked in,
Mm.
which
Yeah, and that'll come down to like a big reveal show. Who did the committee vote? Which is cool. Like, how is that not fun for the sport, dude? I mean,
yep.
how is that not better than? Oh yeah, it's just imagine. Let me put it this way: imagine if the NBA playoffs were 4 teams, or if the NFL playoffs were 4 teams. It's like, what are we doing here? Like, what are we talking about? I don't see an argument against.
Right.
I'd be okay if it was 18 teams. Honestly, like the more teams, the better, dude. And like I'll be honest, like I'm kind of an elitist in the sense of like I hear like Colin, Joel Klatt, 2 guys I listen to a lot about this stuff. Like Colin said the other day, he's like, I'd be fine if it was 5 SEC, 5 Big Ten, and 2 of whoever else you want to put in there. I'm fine with that too. I want the best teams. When I watch the NFL playoffs, for me personally, I don't want to see a Carolina Panthers in there. They're not good. Okay?
Right.
Like the play-in tournament for the NBA, I'm getting on a tangent here a little bit, but like has been good for the NBA. But at the same time, like I don't want to see the 10th seed Bulls knock off the number 1 seed. No one wants to see that. So
Right.
when it comes to this 12-team playoff, like I think it's going to be awesome. I think the fact that we're going to get more games to determine who that best team is going to be good for the sport. Hopefully, you get less of those TCU versus Georgia games or whatever it was. Like, no offense to TCU or whatever, but it's just like I'd rather see Georgia and Texas duke it out than those lower schools. So, but with that said, though, as you get more teams in there, those lower level schools programs, if you will, have more opportunities. So I think that's always better for the fans. And
Yeah, absolutely.
I think at some point we're looking at it expanding, probably even bigger than it is. Um, which I think is only good for the sport. So yeah, and for those fans of teams that are not those power schools, this gives you an opportunity to get in. My team this year is going to be Penn State. Penn State's kind of been on the outside looking in for a long time. I think now we finally have a good chance to get in there and make some noise, and we have some good players. So
Yeah,
I'm a fan.
absolutely. I dude, I love college football. So I think it's great. I think one of the hardest parts about this though is got to be objective, right? With the 7 at-large teams, um,
Eh,
that's kind of my only concern with the committee is because they'll be
that's a
the
tough
first.
word, though. That's a tough word. Because what is objective? If you're a 9-3 SEC team and you got a 10-1, 10-2 team that's playing tomato cans, sorry,
Right.
8-4
Yeah.
in the SEC is better than 10-2 as a Kennesaw State to me.
Yeah. Right. I
You know,
I agree, but I just know that last year there were a lot of fireworks around the whole Florida State versus Alabama thing, and
what was that?
so
Was Florida State like had a better record or something? Or?
Florida State went undefeated,
Mm.
and they put Alabama in over them. So
Well, see, and that's different because Florida State's in the ACC, so like that's a good enough conference to me. You got Clemson in there, you got
yeah,
Miami, you got VTech, you got Virginia. Like
yeah,
I'm saying, like if you got a team in the Mountain West Conference, like and they're undefeated, and you got
yeah,
Alabama who's 9-3, like that's not much of a decision for me. I don't, good season for the
yeah,
Mountain West team. Thanks for coming to play, but
yeah,
nobody wants to see that in the playoff personally, unless you're like a big underdog guy, and I'm not usually one of those people. So
yeah. Well, oh, so let's shift gears. USA basketball, man. We're going for the gold again. They won again today. LeBron and KD carried the way for sure. But you were saying some interesting stuff about LeBron to me on the phone, and that's why I wanted to hop on this pod. So I'll turn the floor over to you. You can go whatever direction you want. But we're gonna just talk some USA basketball, talk about LeBron, talk about kind of what we've seen so far.
okay, I've been very very busy, so it's not like I've watched a lot of this, like the games leading up to today. I see a little bit on social media and Instagram and where that's going. I know that Durant was back today. That's great. Um, the text I said to you though is, you know me, I think Jordan's the GOAT. I have for a long time, ever since I was born. It's who I, looked up to a lot. But like I said to you on the phone though, it's like LeBron might be the GOAT because as I'm sitting here watching him at 39 and a half years old,
Yeah,
being voted the best player on the team. Now he's playing like the best player on the team as he's beating these teams in the Olympics, and he's like almost 4 years old. And you just start looking at, the 4 rings, the 10 finals appearances, not to mention like I think a couple additional, um, what do they call that? Conference finals.
Oaks can't hear you. Nope.
For sure, yeah. Like I said, seeing LeBron do what he's doing, it's amazing. And yeah, he just might be the GOAT. I mean, I don't know. It just depends on what your definition of greatness is. Uh, if he let's say he's got 2 more seasons, it'll be your 23 years or whatever, 24, whatever it is.
Yep.
Um, the leader in points, leader in all these things, top 5 in this, top 3 in that. To me, greatness is like I'm starting to kind of look at it of like a little bit less of like, oh, who would you take in one series or one game for your life, and more like who had the greatest career.
Mm,
Career.
mm.
And again, this opinion, I some days I think this, some days I don't. This opinion might change tomorrow. But today, as I'm sitting there watching that, it's like you get caught up in it and you're like, wow, this guy, how is he not the greatest? Like, look what he's doing when he's almost 40 years old. I know some 40-year-olds that, aren't doing that. Let's just put it that way. So it's like he's great. Obviously, rooting for Team USA. They had a big win against Serbia today. I think I won't be surprised if they lose to Canada. Honestly, Canada's a great team. They just knocked out Giannis, so they got
Yeah.
it together. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see, man.
I mean, you're saying the same thing that I've been saying the past few years.
Yep.
This
Yep.
guy, LeBron is he's unreal. USA basketball is fun. I love all the behind the scenes stuff. Like seeing these guys that like we think are like hate each other or rivals just coming together for the Olympics trying
I
to
don't
win
think
a
they
gold
do.
medal.
I don't think it's like that.
I don't think so
I don't
either.
think a single one of those guys just I don't think it's like that anymore. I wish it was. It's more fun, more interesting, but
Yeah, I thought that
I think
like
they love being on the same team, to be
yeah.
honest.
Like, I mean, you see KD and LeBron today, like, those guys were, like, so happy anytime the other guy hit a shot. It was awesome.
Why do
It's
you think
great.
that is? I think so. Not to get like, yeah, I think like just on a surface level reasoning for why players get along more now, I would think would be a combination of, how do I put this? The first thing would be social media. I think people just being more connected.
Yeah.
Um, and the second one being like this movement of like, I don't know how I want to put this, but like you don't always have to be like hard as men and like we're on different teams, so I don't like you and da, 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 da. It's like we
Yeah.
can be friends, it can be cool, it can be just a basketball game at the end of the day. So like I don't know if you agree with that, but that's kind of why I think that is because it obviously wasn't as much like that back in the day. So
I think part of it is obviously like that. Like, I really agree with you. But also part of it is it's not Golden State versus Cleveland every year
yeah,
anymore. I think that
yeah,
plays a part in it. Like, it's not Katie's and Steph's Warriors versus LeBron and Kyrie Cavs. Like, uh,
hmm
it's not like that, which I think is great for the sport on one side, but not great on the other, right? Because like obviously you want to have some rivalries, best players going at it, but
and
it's
you do
also great.
honestly. The rivalries are like America versus four, and I mean Devin Booker hates who? Luka Doncic.
Yeah, right.
Like it seems to be like that way. That's weird, but yeah.
Yeah, but like it's also really good for the game because it's
hmm
like these guys coming to the end of their careers are getting along so well. I mean, you look at probably the three best players on Team USA so far in the Olympics: LeBron, KD, Steph. I mean, veterans, right?
Yep.
That can, I mean, just make so many plays, and it's cool to see, man. Like, I think KD and LeBron at halftime were 100% on field goal attempts.
They
Like
were combined
that,
13 for 13.
dude, that's fun. That's freaking insane, brother.
They were looking like me over here, bro, with the stroke and the,
Yep,
tuck in the elbow.
yep, absolutely.
Oh, but yeah, I got Team USA taking it all the way, baby, for sure.
I think so too. Oaks, any last thoughts before we wrap things up?
Um, Penn State's gonna win the national title this year. And
Okay.
Drew Aller's gonna be in the Heisman conversation. Look for
If he's
Abdul Carter to be in the Defensive Player of the Year conversation, if that's a thing. And
it is. It is.
I will say, because I'm big into college football this year, I'm gonna be watching a lot of it. Thanks to the video game, I basically have no social life because of that game right now. It's work, eat, sleep, get on the game. So I start to know some of this stuff a little bit more. And I will
That's
say that
good.
your Ohio State Buckeyes are going to be pretty good. As long as your quarterback, Will Howard, is in the scrub,
Yeah.
like their other offensive weapons are just nuts. And then on defense, you guys have some good talent too. So you guys are the best two running backs arguably in the country. So it's like, where did
Yep.
Judkins come from?
Ole
Alabama?
Miss. Ole
Ole
Miss.
Miss? Oh, God.
Yep. Thank you, Ole Miss.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh man.
Who are your top four teams right now, you think? Let's pretend it
Uh
was just a 14 playoff still. Who do you think who would be in there at the end of the year?
Georgia, Ohio State, Texas, and Oregon.
not 100% sold on Texas yet. I think there's a high likelihood they lose to Michigan, first of all, in week 2.
Well, yeah, I mean,
Which doesn't knock them out, but like,
I don't know how good Michigan's going to be this year. That's the problem. Like they lost so much talent. Harbaugh's gone. Like
and I still think they might lose to Michigan, though. That's what I'm saying. I don't know if I can trust them.
well, the game's in the big house. That's why you would think that it's at Michigan. So
my former team, yeah.
Yeah, Michigan's a tough place to play. Speaking from, being a college football fan for
you guys have lost 3 years in a row, just got dominated in the second halves of those games. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll get them this year though.
You guys better, because think about it. No Nick Saban, no Jim Harbaugh.
There's a chance I might go to that this year, actually.
What?
Chance. The game.
Ohio State, Michigan?
Yeah.
Where is it?
The Horseshoe in Columbus, Ohio.
Shit. When is that?
It's the week of Thanksgiving. It's that Saturday.
Oh God, I would love to do that.
Yeah.
That sounds like a shitload of fun. We're actually going
You dig?
Yeah. We're actually going down, and sometime in October, I think, LSU versus Ole Miss. We're gonna go down to Louisiana and go to the night game there. Because I've been told, or I've seen,
In Death Valley?
I've read that shit is nuts down there. I heard somebody say the atmosphere is so amazing down there, they almost applied to go to school there.
Yeah, dude. It's crazy.
And then I'd love to go to a Penn State game too, but like, what's in Pennsylvania? I don't know. Is there anything to do there?
I mean, I love Pennsylvania. I've
You've been there for what?
When I went on that baseball trip,
what is there to do there?
Sports and cheesesteaks, brother.
Okay, all right, that's fair. Oh, that's fair.
But yeah, man. Well, it's good catching up. About 30-minute podcast. Thank you guys for tuning in. Make sure to subscribe, like, all that good stuff. We're back on the grind, so be ready. We're ready to roll, and we're ready to get it going again. In the words of Jake Mueller, he told me I have to say this when he's not on the podcast. Michael Jordan is the GOAT. Not.
That's ironic.